Pokémon Horizons is trending in Japan, but what's the story and why is the series blasting off? Hey John, it's Charles. How are you today? Firstly, here is some interesting news from over the mountainside. Pokémon Horizons has topped Japan's summer anime recording reservation ranking, beating the likes of Zom 100, Rurouni Kenshin, My Happy Marriage, Bleach, Mushoku Tensei, The Masterful Cat is Depressed Again Today, Horiyama Peace, The Great Cleric, and Soaring Sky Pretty Cure, to claim the #1 spot. What this means is that based on data provided by Panasonic's Nemona service, Pokémon Horizons beat out every other TV anime in terms of the number of Tokyo metropolitan area viewers who scheduled recordings of the show from terrestrial digital channels in the week leading up to August 16th. On one hand, it's kind of funny that Liko and Roy are earning more recordings than all of these fantastic late-night seasonal anime. On the other hand, there are a handful of caveats to consider, such as the fact that shows running for over a year are not included in the ranking, or the fact that the previous #1 anime, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, was excluded due to the broadcast of the Idol Talk Part 1 recap special. And on the third hand, it is just a pleasure to see that the show is making waves in Japan, despite that 1, it no longer has the brand power of Ash and Pikachu to lean on, 2, the pacing is about as fast as a snail on sticky roller skates, and 3, there have been hardly any notable battles. All in all, the first stretch of episodes has been pretty slow and dialogue heavy by Pokemon anime standards. And yet, Japanese viewers are having a great time with it, with the show cracking the top 10 TV anime broadcast rankings and now hitting #1 for scheduled recordings. So what is the secret behind its appeal? Given the 3 points we mentioned above, and the general lack of elements that truly defined the Ash Ketchum era of the show, beyond the general brand power of the Pokemon franchise, it simply has to be the Rising Volt tacklers themselves and how keenly the series has been digging into their struggles and backstories that has truly captured viewers. So let's break down why Pokemon Horizons' unique protagonist setup is juicy fun for all. With an intriguing but so far only semi-present cast of villains, it really is the heroes carrying the show at this point. And when it comes to the heroes, Pokemon Horizons is very different from the Ash-centered era of the anime. It's interesting because unlike Ash's adventures, in which we consistently had a group of inexperienced kids setting out to make something of themselves, this time we have a two-tiered setup of both mature characters and rookie characters traveling as a single unit. The mature characters are Freed, Cap, Orla, Murdoch, Molly, and Ludlow. Obviously. They are the full-fledged adults who have abandoned their careers to fight for something bigger than the endless grind of the cubicle, the workshop, or the adult diaper aisle. Then we have the rookie characters Liko, Roy, and Dot. They are the aspirational kids who don't know much about the world but are ready to venture out and learn about it, to chase down their dreams and make something of themselves. The sheer number of members in the party is one of the reasons why Pokemon Horizons has been fairly slow to start, but the two-tiered system is also brilliant for a number of reasons. Firstly, Liko, Roy, and Dot cover the classic coming-of-age angle that defined the Ash Ketchum era. Liko is trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. Roy has a vague sense of what he wants to be but needs to put in the legwork to get there. And Dot is struggling to overcome her social issues, to make friends, and to better integrate with the outside world. I have to say that after seeing how the Duo +1 was handled in Pokemon Journeys, I was initially worried about how Pokemon Horizons would develop these characters. For comparison, one of the jarring flaws of Pokemon Journeys was just how quickly Go went from beginner to badass. He could no damage one ball just about any Pokemon right out the gates. He awkwardly made the world's future #1 trainer look like his donkey sidekick in episode 36. By episode 53, he had caught a legendary Pokemon, and by series end, he had caught another. I loved Go as a character. He was whimsical, he was funny, his personality was the perfect contrast to Ash's personality, and his Project Mew storyline was compelling even though it was rushed to a conclusion. But to be honest, a lot of the time his competency didn't feel particularly well earned. Thankfully, the writers seem to be taking their time with Liko, Roy, and Dot. Liko is gradually finding her footing and gaining confidence in herself, even though she hasn't pinpointed a specific goal just yet, and she makes a lot of funny faces. Roy is actually making pretty good gains, but he still gets manhandled by obviously superior trainers such that his progression and the show's power scaling actually makes sense. And Dot is slowly opening up thanks to Liko's influence on her. These 3 characters are exactly the mix of heroes you would expect to see headlining an adventure geared towards younger audiences in 2023, and you could easily imagine the 3 of them hoofing it from place to place like the travel parties of past series. That said, they still lack the strength of character that defined those old travel parties, which is exactly why we have the adult RVT members to twist that classic coming-of-age formula into something new and exciting. Firstly, the old guard act as mentors to the rookies and have already influenced their development in many ways. Secondly, not only are the adult RVT members cool and competent, but they are probably more relatable to older viewers viewers who grew up while Ash Ketchum stayed 10, and their decidedly grown-up struggles will surely help the show resonate with a wider audience. Of course, Ash's adventures inspired me like nothing else when I was a kid, and thanks to the ambitions of Ash and his friends, all I could see were endless opportunity and boundless fun. Without a doubt, the first generation of the Pokemon anime got me hungry, dreaming, and moving forward. But once you've grown up and found yourself strapped to the wheel of adult life for a few years, it's easy to get tired and start to wonder what happened to all those big dreams, particularly if there is considerable dissonance between what you are doing and your personality characteristics, your competencies, and your life philosophies. Speaking personally, I became about as disenchanted with the normal life as Freed back when I was 25, so I decided to take a big risk by setting out on a new adventure, and I've never looked back since. Likewise, Freed is the tired adult who finds his second wind, and beyond the stunning Sakuga, that is a big part of the reason why last week's Flying Pikachu Soaring High was a massive hit with older viewers. That episode showed us a man struggling with the mundane reality of adult life. It showed us that we need to seek out fateful encounters and take risks to keep growing. And it showed us that it's never ever too late for a new adventure. Seeing a burnt-out Freed bounce back from bumming around on a boat to pull together a ragtag band of skyfaring adventurers and embark on a glorious expedition was spectacular. Not to mention that we saw Orla abandon everyday life to journey with a friend and take her own skills to the next level. That we discovered earlier on in the series that Molly gave up on Pokemon Center life to travel the world helping wild Pokemon. That Murdoch spilled his own story of tough partings and making amends in episode 19. That Cap is just a badass. And that Ludlow, well, I guess airship adventures are probably more exciting than lawn bowling. The beauty of mixing these older and younger characters together is that the two-tier cast is more likely to spark the drive for risk, challenge, and adventure in viewers of all ages, and it is simply a setup we have never seen before in the Pokemon anime. The older RVT members are talented working adults taking risks to squeeze even more out of life. It's inspiring, and it will be a pleasure to watch the younger characters who currently rely on them as they gain confidence, strength, and eventually equal footing with their adult mentors. Aside from the show's freewheeling spirit of adventure, the Rising Volt tacklers, their development, and their interactions with one another are the 9 reasons why the first few months of Pokemon Horizons have been such a treat to watch. Liko and Roy may be marketed as the anime's new protagonists, but the story is very much centered on the unit rather than the individual, and the two-tier cast offers a breadth of experience to viewers like never before. Of course, one of the potential drawbacks of the large cast is how the show might struggle to balance their screen time and emphasize each character's development appropriately. This was one of the challenges that the otherwise excellent Pokemon Sun and Moon series grappled with, and it missed a few big opportunities as a result. Only time will tell how well Pokemon Horizons plays its character cards in the long term, but what we've seen so far is quality stuff. And speaking of quality stuff, I just dropped a video on the second channel that will make you rethink Charmander's origins, as well as increase your knowledge of 1990s Japanese pop culture, so check out that video right here.